In and out. My wife had an affair 11 years ago. I found out when she went on a cruise with her sisters, and I called the cruise line to send flowers. When they said my wife wasn't registered, they asked if she was registered under another name. A voice in my head had me blurt out my so-called best friend's name. And there she was, registered with him in his cabin. They would not give me the room. I left a message and she called me back crying, said she was sorry and was sick to her stomach. She said he went because her sisters were short on money and he covered it. They felt bad and asked him to go. She also said she wanted to see what it would feel like waking up next to him. When she rolled over in the morning and it was him instead of me, she freaked out. She said she was ashamed and she felt like jumping off the ship. So now I had to balance being shocked, angry, hurt, with worrying about her jumping ship. He got off the ship and flew home immediately. I had several days to think about what happened and I was just crying and worried that I lost my wife and family. I never had a chance to show anger because I was afraid it would push her to him. We ended up going to counseling but got bad advice. I was told I had to accept blame, put it behind us, and move forward, rug sweep. I was also told that every time I brought it up, I was slowly ruining her self-esteem. I now believe that my self-defense mechanism was to blame myself and everyone but my wife. If I pushed her away and she was manipulated by him, then it wasn't really her who did this to me. For the last 10 years she has been a loving wife. I have the problem. I'm loaded with guilt. Because I begged her to stay, she did, and I am the one who suffers and can't let it go. There are too many triggers in life. He even has the same name as me, so it was an issue hearing his name in bed. I obviously need to move on from this, I just don't know how. She says as wrong as it sounds, when she was with him, she wanted to be with me and always loved me. She thought there was someone else. There never was. I was pulling away as she had become flirtatious with this friend and others, and I could tell she loved the attention. We had many fights about this and I always said someone is going to take your flirtations the wrong way. I turned to videos and apparently, she saw me watching a video clip at night. She thought there was someone else, but didn't ask me about it. She turned to my friend. There never was anyone else. With the videos there were no worries about performance issues or rejection. It was just a release. I knew she was enjoying this newfound attention and no matter what I said, I was being controlling. I felt like less of a man as this OM who had deep pockets was slowly buying his way into my family as I struggled. I have since stopped any regular viewing of videos. I have had performance issues ever since the affair and I know it's in my head. I know now I should have been honest with my wife all along, but she moved on and I just didn't want to hurt her. I lived with the triggers and mind movies for 10 years, but I finally told my wife because she accused me of having an affair. I became friends with a new coworker who had worked for my brother before working with me. She always got along with, so we two became friends. My wife and I went to a work party at her house. We went to a sports bar many nights with her and her husband to watch games, and we went to a few family parties together and it was never a problem. When her dad died, my wife and I went to the funeral and waked together, so I included her in everything. In the 3 years we worked together there were never any activities outside of work unless my wife and others were there. No lunches, drinks, coffee, nothing. We talked at work, and we texted as well, always had. Often work-related, sometimes not. About 1.5 years ago, this coworker friend ended up telling me she was getting a divorce because her husband had multiple affairs throughout their 8-year marriage and she could no longer accept it. When they split up, my wife got jealous. This friend moved 2,000 miles away 6 months ago to start a new life. We still occasionally talk or text, mostly about her finding a job or about mutual friends here at work, but since she found a job and started working there is no regular communication. I am happy that I finally was able to open up. I have felt for a long time like there was a monster inside of me trying to break out. I want my wounds to heal and one day not have to talk about this anymore and just be happy. I have always been there for my family, and once this finally came out, I felt relief. Unfortunately, my wife tried to blame shift, saying this only came out because my friend got divorced, her husband had affairs, and we talked. This just causes me to have anger and resentment. It takes a lot of effort to always say to myself that was in the past. We were both in a bad place. She made bad choices. I need to put it behind me and just enjoy the moment and look to the future that works. Until the next trigger, and then I have to make that same conscious effort to keep moving forward. Now I want to deal with it and she's making it about someone else again. If she wants to believe that my friendship is an EA, fine, then it's a non-physical EA in 3 years. This person was never more than a good friend to me and has always said my situation is different than hers. I should do my best to work things out. I should get professional help, be honest with myself and take care of me. I know I need professional help. I'm sharing this to see if maybe someone else has experienced anything like this, and how they make the memories and thoughts go away. My problem is I buried them, allowed them to fester for years, and I now feel after this long, they are there for good. I have told her something in me passed 11 years ago, and my lack of desire for bonding and my performance issues back that up. I love and care for her, but as the old saying goes, I don't know if I can be in love with her. The update is my wife was originally blaming all of this on my supposed EA with my friend. I told her if it was an EA, it was a one-sided, non-physical EA, and I could accept that because I finally was able to get this all out and in the open, so I could finally deal with it, so I really didn't care. She continued to place blame, and I stood firm, saying I made this about someone else 11 years ago and I've had to live with it. My choice, but I would no longer allow that to happen. This is about me and this is my time to work through this and try to heal. After a few days she said, I want you to cut off all contact with your friends or we can no longer be together. 180. If you can't completely cut her from your life, we need to get bills taken care of, sell the house, split things and move on because I can no longer accept this. I again held firm and said it's two different issues, and once again you are making this about someone else and shifting blame, and I will not allow it. I said I could cut off communication if I thought it would help, but she has been nothing more than a friend to me. She never came on to me one time and actually told me with our history, our family, and all of the years we have together, we should try to work through this. Do you know how many people have said you've always been a stand-up guy and have always there for your family? It's time for you. She cut up the leather coat he bought for her that was still in our closet. She went through our old pictures to get rid of any pictures with him, and she pulled out all of the expensive jewelry from him that was still in a box in our closet. I take blame for the jewelry being there. She was originally going to give it back and I said no way. We are talking a $3,000 or $4,000 bracelet bought on the cruise, and 2 rings loaded with diamonds. One that looked like a wedding ring with a big-ass heart-shaped diamond that was supposedly a limited edition. At the time I did not want him to have the satisfaction of him getting them back. I didn't want to sell them because it was his dirty money, so they were just put away and not touched or talked about. This was a very bad idea on my part, and I pulled them out more than once over the years without talking about it. Talk about a trigger. I ended up saying I was tired of the merry-go-round and I was getting off. I said I can no longer act like everything is okay and then just have this stuff keep coming back up again and again. I lived in our house with all these memories for all these years. She was trying to tell me my supposed year was every bit as bad and painful as her affair. I disagree and tell her we were friends, it was never sexual, and that until I sleep with someone else, she doesn't have a clue. Agree or disagree, that's how I feel. She was trying to be honest, and she finally told me that even though they did it in our house, they never did it in our bed. She then said they also went to his girlfriend's place a few times, but they usually went to his house. Never knew about her place, not sure I wanted to. I am finally being honest with her, and honest with myself, and my head has never been clearer. The fog has lifted. I started sleeping on the couch a couple weeks ago and spending more time at work and away from the house. We are being civil to each other, and she has finally said she knows she was wrong. She knows it was all her and no one made her do this. She has said she is sorry and she is scared of losing me, and she feels like she is losing her life. Everything. She keeps asking me if she can have a hug, and I have given them to her a few times, and I still feel numb and still have no desire. I have told her that I still need to move forward with getting things done around the house, selling it, and we will probably get divorced. At that time, we need some time apart, and depending how I feel, we could maybe start dating. I said I would not even rule out remarrying at some point, but our present marriage should have ended 11 years ago. I know at times our relationship has been toxic, and although she counts 30 years, I started over after D-Day, and we both deserve better than where we are at. I don't like putting her through this, and although I went through hell, she had moved on and thought it was behind us. But I tell myself, I never saw the affair coming either, and it hit me like a Mack truck, and no one worried about my feelings back then. It's nice finally being in the driver's seat, and my destination is personal growth and being happy. If it can include her, fine. If not, right now it has to be all about me. Believe it or not, it really doesn't matter if they slept in our bed or where that did it. Doing it anywhere in our home turned that home into a house, and although sleeping with someone else is definitely disrespectful, anywhere in our home or even his girlfriend's home was like a complete FU. The cruise, yeah, I knew that was BS right from the start. And she has said she always told him she was never going to leave me and that she knew he could never have feelings or be faithful. Or something like that. Nice, big relief, huh? Video watching. I did have an issue, but after a couple bouts of non-performance issues, I was troubled. It was a combination of her getting flirtatious and enjoying the attention, 20 years with the same woman, and us being somewhat naive. It became an easier release with no worries, but I should have dealt with it. She supposedly felt like you have an attractive wife lying in bed and you'd rather do that. So, she thought there must be someone else. Whatever, even if true, no excuse to go to a guy's good buddy and go at it. She tried shifting blame and doing a 180 on me, saying I had to cut off all contact with my friend or we were done, sell the house, pay bills, and split up. That didn't work because I agreed. She then did a complete 180, meaning now she says she is sorry, she will accept whatever I decide, but she loves me and wants to spend the rest of her life with me. She says she is the one who did this, she cannot make it about anyone else. Did she do this because that's how she really feels? Because I stood strong. 11 years were not a complete waste by any means, it was my choice, no one forced me. Regardless of your jaded opinion, she has been a great wife since then, and I didn't allow her to rug sweep and put it behind her. I allowed it and helped make it happen as the only way I could get past it. I know this now, and if you read everything, you'd know this as well. These last 11 years we have had some good times and our boys were allowed to grow up in their home. I am the one who wasn't honest about my true feelings and kept it to myself. She now knows I can no longer be manipulated as I have finally stood up for myself and made it clear this is about me and what she did, nothing else. I appreciate your opinion, but you must have been really crap on bad to have such a vulgar outlook as I have read some of your other comments. Don't be sorry for me. I don't need your pity and I actually feel sorry for you. Seriously, get a grip. She definitely did me wrong and the memories will be there forever, and yes, her behaviors at that dark time in my life may have been whorish. But she is not. I watched this woman take care of my dad and mom when they were passing. I was with her 4 years ago when she survived cancer and I cried like a baby when she got it and when I knew she was okay after her surgery. This is not about now. My issue is it was a horrible, earth-shaking experience that hurt me to my core, and I never got over it and probably never will. I tried to accept it and move on, but it was always there. So, no matter what I tell myself, she still chose to do it and I need to choose whether or not I want to continue to stay with her and live with the memories. Right now I think we're two good people who will be better off as friends. Time will tell. She knows how I feel and I should have spoken up as well. I mean, if I act like it doesn't bother me. The pics were because he became such a close, family friend and did so much with us. He was in pics for years. We would have had to sit down and pull out boxes stored away and go through them. Our garage, basement and a couple rooms in our house could qualify for hoarders. Well, not quite that bad, but no organization. We chose to just bury it and not go there. No one was pulling them out and looking at them, and I sure never found them anywhere near my bed or nightstand. So, she wasn't touching them. Again, shouldn't have been there and I was a fool for allowing it. I know this. No more doormat. The difference is, I processed my feelings and worked through them without trying to resolve it by dropping my pants. I understand why my mind and feelings went where they did. I had someone that I could talk to, who understood what I was feeling, who had empathy and cared, but who, unlike my guy friends, told me I should get therapy to take care of me and maybe work things out. She said unlike her, we had a long history and a family with kids together, and that although it was ongoing, it was with one man, not multiple partners. Yes, I became attached, but I understood why. We rarely contact anymore, and when we do it is job, work, or friend related. If you or my wife feel I betrayed her, I am okay with that because I know where I have been and where my head is at now. I know at one time, I crossed a line, but it was one-sided and I was honest about it. Also, this friend didn't cross that line. She has stayed a true friend who actually cared, nothing more. If I hadn't opened up, I would still be suffering silently with all of the memories and triggers, and my wife would be going on blindly enjoying life as if all was okay. It's not, and I'm not, and it turns out I had a lot of buried and repressed feelings and emotions that had to be released. I actually feel better, but my wife can't accept it. She is sweet and understanding only so long, and then she blows up because she can't handle this being about what she did to me. So her self-defense kicks in and she tries to make it about what she believes I've done to her. I have been passive-aggressive my entire life and I will no longer sit back and accept it. If it was just this friend I could accept it, but no matter who I talk to, if she thinks the other person is attractive, she feels threatened and accuses me of cheating. I have never even held another girl's hand once in 30 years. Not once, and yet I'm treated like the cheater. I tell her I hate that after such an ultimate betrayal I gave her my trust and yet she can't trust me. Her answer is I trust you, I just don't trust other women. My answer is, if you really trusted me, the other women shouldn't matter. No apologies. This time it's all about me. I finally went in for IC on Tuesday night. I feel it went well and I go back next Tuesday. One thing I asked her was why this was so fresh now after all these years. I said on the way driving out I was thinking I wished I had come a while ago when the pain and anger was fresher. On the way up I seriously felt okay. Well, as soon as I started talking about it, my voice trembled, my eyes welled up, and I wasn't okay at all. She said let it out, it's been in there a long time. Her answer to my question was that the brain is very complex and it often buries traumatic memories or events, sometimes forever, and sometimes just until a time when we are more capable of dealing with things. She said you have probably matured and grown a lot during these years. Events happened that led up to all this and now it's finally coming out, and that's good. I got out most of my story as well as how I have been passive-aggressive since being a child, and dealing with the affair this time around is the first time I have been assertive and have stood up for myself pretty much ever. After the session my wife wanted to know how it went and I was somewhat vague. I have been and I have tried to keep distance without being an ass. The last time we went dancing, basically her line dancing and me having a beer talking with a few people and maybe getting out there for a few, I bought her, myself, and 2 girls, regulars that she dances with, a beer. It started because someone mentioned a blue moon with an orange slice. One girl said I don't know if I'd like that. The other said oh they are very good. I said if you want to try it, I will buy the first round. I included myself, both girls, and my wife, although this is somewhat common and friends are always buying around for others, including us, because one of the girls is somewhat attractive and therefore threatening to my wife. I could tell she was upset. Again, the old me would have said I'm sorry or I won't do it again, or maybe not even do it in the first place. But I knew I was doing nothing wrong, so I wasn't going to let it bother me. She didn't say anything to me, but she wrote her thoughts out on a paper and left it where I would see it, talking about how she was not happy about me buying drinks for other girls. Again, we as well as others have bought drinks before. It wasn't that I did it, it was that she felt threatened. I get it, but the rules only changed, not because I did it, but because of who it was. Yet she talks to this girl, hugs her, acts friendly with her, and I'm not supposed to say hi. After it came out that she was upset, I finally said I will no longer go there unless you give me a list of who I can talk to and who I can't. I said I have been standing there talking with one of your friends before and you walk away to dance or go outside and have come back in and you've gotten mad 2 other times before over 2 other girls, all her friends, but then other times you're fine. I don't get it, but it is not fun for me to stand there by myself watching everyone have fun and actually have people ask me, are you okay? Or you could at least smile, so I will stay home as I know that is your fun and I don't want to ruin it. She says no, that's not what I want and I need to learn from my insecurities. I tell her I am still tired of not being trusted after giving her trust. I have a pretty good track record. She is on her way home to talk, but I will continue this later. And trust me, the insanity continues, and yes, still sleeping in an adjacent room, and she is not happy about that either. Here's update part 2. Okay, well, after the above night I said I will no longer go there. I stopped in again last Wednesday. That's a night our friends are there with free lessons and no cover. I was just having a drink that a friend, guy, bought me and planned on staying for an hour or so. My wife was dancing, having a good time, and I decided to do a walk around the bar to see if any friends that I knew might be there. My older son has many friends that go to this place as well, and they often like to say hi. As I walk around the corner, I see the woman, one of them anyway, that apparently my wife feels threatened by. I said hi and said I haven't been here in a while. The last time was a week and a half ago when we had the blue moons. She said, yeah, I've been working a lot. That was the last time I was here too. I said, well, have a good night, and I proceeded to walk around the outer perimeter of the dance floor and eventually made my way back where I started. I had one more drink and went home. Nothing more was said that night. A couple nights later I had shown my wife and son a new software update on their phones and they started the update. I was playing guitar in the living room and also checking my phone, and my wife was having problems with the download for her update and was mumbling about it, and I stopped and went in to help. I then went back into the living room and she was again having a problem. I actually started to get irritated and I yelled, give me a minute, I'm checking my phone. The comm finally ended and she went off about me being on my phone and me enjoying my space and me having my private life. She actually was upset enough she said F you, which doesn't often happen, and I said it back and I retreated upstairs. That night as I was getting ready for bed, in my room, she finally came in and unloaded on me. She said I was sneaking around and I'm a cheater as well. She called me a thief because of a few items I bought home from work that were being discarded, as well as something that had been left there by my friend who had quit and moved away. She called me manipulative, a liar, and this went on and on. She also then brought up last Wednesday when we were at the dance hall saloon and she said I saw how you managed to sneak around the corner to talk to BS. I watched you. You thought because I was dancing, I wouldn't notice, but you went around the corner, talked to her, and then walked around the entire bar thinking I wouldn't notice. I said, wow, you actually were watching me the entire time, weren't you? I told her I did nothing wrong and that although she claims to not trust the girls, in reality she doesn't trust me, because if she did, they would be a non-issue. I tried to reason and she would say, that's right, you are Mr. Perfect who never does anything wrong, you have an answer for everything. I also tried to explain about the equipment and said I could have done all that behind her back too if I was trying to be sneaky or do something wrong. But no, it was all in the open. We went together to a gathering of friends and I dropped it off. We even took pictures. So again, I always thought everything was okay and now I find she was harboring resentment over that as well. And now I am a thief too. Because of her verbal assault, I almost left again that night, but I really have nowhere to go and right now we have no extra money. I stayed. She eventually went to sleep and we have been back to not saying much to each other. We started to talk yesterday, but she actually started in about how she thought she was okay with the past situation with my friend from work who moved away over 6 months ago, but apparently, she's not and was making all of our issues about me again. I said you are just not okay with me in general and it all comes down to you did me wrong big time. I forgave you and gave you trust, and you don't trust me. I then reinforced that I will not allow her to make our problems about me and what she believes I've done. This is about what happened in the past and I am finally dealing with it whether she can accept it or not. I had plans to go out on my own last night, but a mutual friend stopped over to help my son with a project bike and we all just hung out at home and then to bed. Alone. Today is a new day. I try to keep my life as drama-free as possible, but there has been enough of it in my family. I just want peace in my life. I need to put this behind me one way or the other. I just got bad advice from a marriage counselor years ago. I do my best to enjoy every day and I take care of my wife and family. Our only problem has been being physically incompatible. She wants me, in my mind since the affair. I believe she just wants bonding. If I don't catch her in the morning, it rarely works right, because I know she will at some point call out my name and it's an instant trigger because I hear his name. That's the only trigger I can't live with. Our physical life has gone from great to okay, too bad, to worse, and she still says it's okay as long as she has me. My problem is, I can't enjoy it, or believe it, because of what she did. I know she's a physical person and I believe she deserves someone that is into her. I might regret it and it could be the worst decision I ever make, but something's got to change and God knows I've tried. If you want to call that being addicted to drama, fine. I don't think drama has anything to do with it. We have only been sleeping apart for about 1 month and I have my next therapy session tomorrow night. How long did it take all of you to figure things out and either move on or accept it? Even my therapist said in cases of something as traumatic as this, the brain can bury things or find ways to rationalize it until you're ready to deal with it. The triggers were always there and I just accepted them because that's all I knew. It wasn't until my wife accused me of an affair and I denied it and finally told her what really troubled me that these repressed feelings all came out. When I heard her say if your affair isn't physical, then it is emotional, and that is every bit as bad, I snapped. There was no affair. There was confusion on my part. I have owned up to it and moved on. I can't for the life of me figure out how I accepted it, how I put it behind me, and how I moved forward. Now that it's all out and I'm finally dealing with it, I can't talk about it without crying. I go through anger, hurt, and back to anger again. The biggest problem is the guilt. I begged her to stay, she did, and I believe she's faithful, and I just can't let it go. I don't want a divorce, but I feel I will have to get one for her or me to have any chance at real happiness, and it sucks. That's why I'm finally seeing a therapist on my own. I have my second therapy session tonight and I will see how it goes. One clarification. My actual response to my wife was if I was having an affair, it was a one-sided non-physical affair. There was never any reciprocation. It was all in my head, but yes, I did own up to my misguided feelings. I worked through them. I understand how and why it happened, and I am glad it happened, and once the fog lifted I saw things clearer than I have seen for over 10 years. I can't explain it any other way. Obviously, no one here really knows me or her, but she has come to me and asked me what she can do to help me, and what I need from her. I have told her I don't know. Right now I just need space to figure things out. This is difficult for me but hard on her too. It came out of left field for her and she thought we were okay. Kind of like how I thought we were okay before I found her on the cruise with our friend. Maybe I am toying with her, I'm not sure. That is one of the things I am addressing in counseling. I seriously have always been somewhat passive, aggressive, and have always been a doormat. This is probably one of the first times in our marriage that I have stood my ground and it actually feels good. I feel somewhat in control for a change. I can't go back to where we were, and after being with someone for 30 years, I'm not sure where forward is either. Still sleeping in a separate room and had 2 weeks of therapy. I am actually looking forward to week 3 and would go 2 times a week if I could afford it. I think it will help me. Last night we went out together for St. Paddy's Day to watch a friend's band. After a few pints of light beer and a shot, I come out of the bathroom and she was talking with 2 guys I didn't know. Both men and women gravitate to her and she usually meets several new people or couples when we are out and often ends the night with the other women saying we need to get together again sometime. This was fun. She was trying to show the guy how to spin when dancing, which is a very simple move that pretty much anyone can do without instruction. I sit down as I watch her grab his hands trying to spin him around and I'm thinking here we go. After about 10 or 15 minutes she is introducing this guy to me and everyone at our table and she sits down. After a while everyone was dancing so she got up to dance and of course this same young guy was getting drunk out of his mind and he heads right towards her to dance. He went to put his hands on her and she looked somewhat freaked out and came back to sit down. I said nothing, I just sat back to watch the situation she created for herself unfold. Every time she got up, he would head for her and she'd sit back down. I finally said, I thought you wanted to dance, why don't you? She said that's okay. Then she asked if I wanted to dance. I went up and danced a few songs and wasn't really feeling it, so I sat back down. She tried dancing but this same guy kept trying to move in on her and the girl she was dancing with and she was obviously moving to avoid him. She finally came back to the table. Fortunately, we stopped drinking earlier or I'm sure it would have been different and I would have stepped in. Anyway, her friend got these large pink beads from the singer in the band, one of our friends, and he said these are the only ones like this in here so hang on to them. Probably an hour later, my wife is standing up talking to another guy we don't know right behind me and she shows me her matching pink beads he gave her. I said, you didn't just ask that guy for those beads did you? She said yeah. They were told her friend had the only pink beads and these matched so she wanted them so her and her friend would have matching beads, so she explained this to the guy and he gave them to her. I just said, someone has something you don't and you just have to have it, huh? I was thinking to myself, I go into a bar where we are with our friends and I catch crap if I say hi to the wrong girl, or if I talk to someone too long, and she talks to strangers who are drunk and ask guys she doesn't even know for beads and it's okay. This is BS, and my mood goes south. I was just somewhat quiet after that until we left. On the way home I said, I saw what happened tonight with the young drunk guy who kept trying to get by you on the dance floor. You know you brought that all on yourself tonight, don't you? She said, what are you talking about? And I explained what I had observed when I came out of the bathroom and that it took her more than 10 or 15 minutes before she even realized I was just sitting there when she decided to introduce her new friend to our table. She said she was saying hi to a girl at that table, and the girl introduced her to everyone, and her and the guy started talking, so she thought she should introduce him. I told her I was not happy and that she doesn't need to be grabbing someone's hands to spin them around or asking drunken strangers for beads. Of course, she turned it all around and yelled at me, saying I was the one who decided to leave our bedroom and she is not going to go back to where she was not able to be herself. She is going to be herself and have fun. I said some things never change. You get mad at me and I apologize. I get mad at you and you turn it around and get mad back at me, and in the past I would still apologize. Those days are gone. She said, you don't need to apologize. Last night was an aha moment for me. Some things just never do change. I think our problem all along has been boundary issues. I have to have them. She makes her own. I can't do this anymore. As sad as it is, I am trying to keep something together that simply doesn't work. She is a fun, beautiful, and an awesome person, but I am too insecure to handle her outgoing nature after what happened in our past. I, on the other hand, want to be more outgoing, but I can't do that around her without feeling uncomfortable, creating more drama that I don't want or need. I now realize the pattern needs to be broken and I need to initiate the change. To be continued. I have told her I need to move out for a while so I can base my decision on what is best for me instead of basing it on feeling guilty. She believes that once I move out, I will not come back and it will be over. I tell her that if that is what happens, then that is what's meant to be. This has been a long and hard journey, but I can't sit on this fence any longer. It's too painful. We have mutual friends who keep asking if we want to go on motorcycle rides. I have been saying no, but her standard answer is if I'm going, she will ride on the back with me. She has her own bike that she used to ride. I'm guessing she will either need to start riding it again or find another backseat. I can't get pulled back in. Her birthday is coming up in about a month and she asked about a ride that day too. I believe it's time for me to fly. My comment, I will bring part 2 ending very soon. Subscribe to catch the ending. Let me take a quick break and bring out part 2 quickly.